What's going on, duelists? It's your boy Nick, bringing you today a combo and test hand video for my recently updated Psychic deck profile for the post Doom of Dimensions format and the post September 2025 ban list. For those of you new to the channel, welcome. My name is Nick. We do Yu-Gi-Oh content mainly focused around rogue and casual decks alike. If that's the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh that you're interested in, then I highly encourage you to smash that subscribe button. We are currently working our way to 3,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. So, Psychic is a deck that I brought to the channel about a week ago at time of recording, and I had taken it to 2 different sneak peek locals for Doom of Dimensions, and I went X1 at both of those locals, only losing to 1 deck in each on each day. My losses specifically were to a Malice deck and then to a Draco Tail deck. But I placed well enough at those tournaments to be able to acquire the sneak peek mat, the play mat, which I thought was pretty cool. And yeah, this has just been a really awesome and fun deck, not only to pilot, but just, you know, to mess around with. MCole40, for those of you familiar with his channel, Robbie Cole, shout outs to him, actually covered this deck on his channel, my exact build. I'll link his channel as well as the video where he talks about this list in the description below. But I just can't believe that, you know, somebody of his caliber would actually cover a deck that I built on his channel. So I thought that was super, super cool. So again, shout out to MCole40. Again, I'll leave his link in the description below, as well as the link to his video where he goes over this deck, this exact list. But there'll also be a link in the description down below for the original profile if you just want to watch the profile too. But for those of you that are here for the combos and test hands, welcome. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Obviously, in Doom of Dimensions, we got 2 brand new extra deck resources that we can use. The new Serene Psychic Sorceress, as well as the new Axon Kicker Oracle. Sorceress is like one of those cards that helps with the board building. On Synchro Summon, you pay 1,000 life points, and you can set a teleport, normal, or quick play spell from basically anywhere. I believe it's from the deck, graveyard, or banishment. And then additionally, if she's sent to the graveyard while the Synchro Summon card is sent to grave, and you can bounce a card back to the opponent's hand, or if you control a Psychic Synchro or Fusion, you can bounce 2 instead. And then the Oracle is more like an end board boss, not really like a stepping stone in the way that Sorceress can be. He is basically like a solemn warning on legs. He can negate inherent summons and banish those monsters for basically free. There is no cost to that, as crazy as that sounds. And then he's also a really interesting super poly target for this deck, only requiring a Psychic monster plus any Synchro, Xyz, or Link as the material. So very insane 2 cards. But obviously these cards work in Doom of Dimensions, and I think they bolster the strategy and just increase the ceiling overall. Like I mentioned before, I went X1 at 2 different local tournaments with this deck. So let's dive right into the combos. They're very fun. It's a 45 card list. The combo that I want to start with is actually going to consist of E-Telly and then basically just any card to banish. Doesn't matter what it is. So this is a 1.5 card combo. It's just E-Telly plus a card to pitch. And I'm going to showcase you duelists what this deck can do. It's also nib proof. You get to a monster negate before your 5th summon, which I think is absolutely incredible. So we're going to start things off like pretend this is draw phase. We're going to E-Telly for a copy of the brand new Serene Psychic Girl. We will utilize Serene Girl's effect to banish any card in our hand, which is just a blank, and then you will special summon a level 4 or lower Psychic from your deck directly, which will be our copy of Mind Procedure. Mind Procedure, when special by a monster effect specifically, will pay 2,000 life to add either a teleport normal or quick play spell from the deck or grave back to hand. We'll add our teleport from grave to hand and then immediately activate it again because it's not once per turn. Keep in mind, we're still doing this in draw phase, so we're playing around cards like Veiler or Droll specifically, which is obviously really cool. And then we're going to grab a copy of No Punk Zeman from the deck. Then we'll proceed to standby, then go to main. In the main, we'll activate Zeman effect, paying 600 to grab ourselves a copy of the Rising Scale to our hand. And then we will use Serene Psychic Girl's secondary effect to target herself, Mind Procedure, and Zeman, and increase all of their levels by 1, making Mind Procedure and Zeman level 4, and making herself a level 3. We will then Synchro Summon. It's important to note that Mind Procedure can be treated as a non-tuner if used as the material for a synchro summon of a psychic synchro specifically. So for those of you wondering how we're synchroing with 2 tuners, it is because Mind Procedure can treat himself as a non-tuner when being used for a psychic synchro specifically. And also remember, they were both level 4s because of Serene Psychic Girl's effect. We will make our copy of Jam Dragon Drive, trigger his effect to pay 600, and we will grab a level 3 Psychic from deck to hand, which in this case will be a Hushed Psychic Minister specifically. Then what we can do at this juncture here, remember this is our 4th summon, right? Remember how I said this combo is Nibiru proof? Well, we can overlay our Jam Fever on top of our Jam Dragon Drive, making our 5th summon and our Monster Negate live because we have 2 different level 3 psychics in our graveyard. And Jam Fever just needs a level 3 psychic engraved to negate any monster effect. So without even using our normal summon and without committing that many resources really, it was just E-Telly and a card to banish. We've, within 5 summons, achieved a Monster Negate, and we're still not even done yet. This isn't even, we're just scratching the surface of what this combo can produce. So, now that we're here and we have our Nib installation, we can now go Rising Scale effect to banish our Z-Man out of the graveyard and allow us to special our Rising Scale from the hand, trigger her effect, paying 600 to either take a Punk from deck, our deck or grave and special summon it or add it to hand. We will be special summoning our Punk Wagan directly from our deck. Using Wagan's effect to pay 600, we will grab ourselves a copy of Punk Jam Extreme Session. We will go ahead and activate our Jam Extreme Session, and then now we can special summon out our Hushed Psychic Minister from our hand because we control a Psychic. Remember, our Serene Psychic Girl is a level 3 monster in this case because of her effect to level modulate, so we'll take our Hushed Minister and our level 3 Serene Girl and use them to make our brand new Serene Psychic Sorceress, of which she will trigger her effect on Synchro Summon, paying 1,000 life, to set a teleport normal or quick play spell directly from our deck to our field in this case, but she could set it from deck, grave, or banishment. So set our new teleport fusion. And then because a Psychic paid life to activate an effect, we can then utilize the field spell to draw us a card. The card is just a blank, just a free draw, doesn't matter what it is, obviously. And now at this juncture, we can synchro off our Sorceress, who's a level 6, and our Punk Wagan, who's level 3, to make a level 9 synchro, which will be the new Psychic Blaster Mark II. We will then use Psychic Blaster Mark II's effect to revive any banished monster back to our field. As crazy as that sounds, we will bring our banished Z-Man back. And then using our Z-Man and our Rising Scale, we will Synchro Summon for an 11, which will be our copy of the Jiraishin, the Cursed Thunder God. And then that'll trigger the graveyard effect of Xiamen to target our Jam Fever and make it gain 600 attack permanently. And this was our simple 1.5 card combo. This was E-Telly, Emergency Teleport, and a card to banish, any card. So a 1.5 card combo. And we ended on Jam Fever Monster Negate, Psychic Blaster Mark II for the quick effect banish, Jiraishin, which is a full board wipe, it's either a Raigeki or it's either Duster, depending on how you want to look at it. And then we also have access to the set Teleport Fusion, which during our opponent's turn allows us access to either our Absolute Axon Kicker or the brand new Axon Kicker Oracle. This is just another board wipe. It banishes all face-up cards on the field when it's summoned. And then we have the Axon Kicker Oracle, who, like I mentioned, is basically a solemn warning on legs and can revive himself by banishing a teleport card from the graveyard if he does manage to get outed. So this simple 1.5 card combo, which was E-Telly and a card to pitch, got us to 4 disruptions, 2 of which are potential board wipes, and a free draw. And we haven't even committed our normal summon yet. So like if we did have a normal summon, we could literally do that here and continue to combo. All of while we were insulated from Nibiru because we got to our Jam Fever in 5 summons. So the Psychic deck cooks. I don't care what anybody says about this deck. Like it is so much fun to play. Like you get to use like some really cool and interesting niche cards. Like Jiraishin obviously is a card that not every deck can make because most decks aren't capable of making level 11 synchros. This card is broken, giving you 300 life back for everything your opponent does, and he's just a quick effect, like I said, Raigeki or Duster. And then because he's a psychic that would pay life to activate, that will trigger a jam session to draw you an additional card during the opponent's turn. And then if you go teleport fusion into the Axon Kicker specifically and pay 2,000 to wipe their board a second time, that is another psychic that paid life to activate. So you will get an additional draw off of the Punk Field spell during the opponent's turn. So definitely a really, really crazy combo, considering we only started with E-Tele and a card to banish. And because teleport's a quick play spell, you know, we could have already started our line in the draw phase to insulate us from cards, like I said, like Droll and Valor, which I think is really impactful. So that was the first combo I want to showcase you, duelists. Up next, I want to do a second combo. This one's gonna include more cards. So we're gonna have a copy of Serene Girl, a copy of MO5, and then we're gonna have a copy of the Prototype Psychic Blaster for the purposes of this particular combo. So this is a 3-card setup. But you saw what the 1.5 card line does. Now here's what a line that also opens a mutant play can do. So we will go ahead and normal summon our Serene Psychic Girl, use her effect to banish a card from hand, which in this case will be the MO5, and we can special summon a level 4 or lower psychic from our deck. That will be the Mind Procedure. Mind Procedure effect, pay 2,000 to grab a teleport, and then we will activate our copy of Emergency Teleport, allowing us to special summon a level 3 or lower psychic from our deck, which will more than likely be our copy of Zeman. We will then go Zeman effect, pay 6, grab the Rising Scale, and now at this juncture here we can use Serene Girl's effect to target, not herself this time. In the first combo we targeted herself and the additional monsters, but in this case we're only going to target Procedure and Zeman. We're going to leave Serene Girl as a level 2 here. Procedure and Zeman become level 4s. Remember that Procedure can be treated as a non-tuner if used as synchro material for a psychic synchro specifically. So we will now make our copy of the Jam Dragon Drive, activate his effect, paying 600, search for a level 3 psychic, which will usually be our Hush Minister. And again, this is also nib safe because this was our 4th summon, right? Now we can just overlay the Jam Fever as our 5th summon, and we are again insulated from nib cards like Nibiru, which is absolutely insane. Now that we're here, what we can do is utilize our Punk Rising Scale effect, banishing our Zeman from the graveyard, specialing herself, triggering her effect to pay 6, and bringing out a Punk from the deck or grave, which will be our copy of Wagan. Wagan will pay another 600 to add the Punk Field spell. We will then activate our field spell, and now at this particular junction, we will go Hushed Minister effect to special summon himself. That way we have, because we have psychics on the board. And now that we're here, what we can do is we can take our Serene Psychic Girl and our copy of Wagan. Oh, wait, do we want to do this here? Hold on, let me think about this for a minute. Yeah, we'll take our Serene Girl, who's level 2, and our Wagan, who is a level 3, so a 2 and a 3. Actually, no, can we not do that? Nope, sorry, using the wrong material. Pardon me. We'll take our Minister and our Serene Girl, because we need a tuner and a non-tuner, obviously. Wagan's a tuner. So we're going to synchro for 5 here in this particular case, because Serene Girl was actually a level 2 in this combo. We're going to synchro summon out our Silent Psychic Magician. When this card is special summoned, we can take a level 4 or lower psychic monster that's in our graveyard or banishment, special summon it, and then we can optionally choose to increase this level by 1. We're going to bring back our Mutant MO5 here, and we will choose to increase this level by 1 to make it level 3, which will proc our MO5, allowing us to search for a mutant monster upon normal or special. So we will utilize that to grab ourselves a copy of Mutant. We will then special summon our Mutant because we control a mutant monster. Use Mutant's effects to tribute himself for cost, and then banish a mutant card from deck to go ahead and special summon out a mutant boss. So we'll banish our copy of ST46, and that will bring out our copy of Mutant Beast, directly from our deck. So setting up a spell negate here in this instance. And now remember, our mutant MO5 is level 3 because of the effect of Silent Psychic Magician. So we'll take our level 3 MO5 and our level 3 Wagan, a tuner and a non-tuner, and we'll be synchro summoning for 6, which will make us our Serene Psychic Sorceress again. Sorceress will pay 1,000 life, allowing us to set a teleport fusion in our back row, and then because of Psychic paid life to activate, we will go ahead and draw a random card. Doesn't matter what it is, just a free draw. And now, in this case, we can take our Serene and our Psychic Magician, who is a Synchro Tuner, and 5 and 6 make 11. So we can actually go ahead and make ourselves a copy of the Juraishin, the Cursed Thunder God again. And then now that we're here, we can use our prototype Psychic Blasters in hand effects, pitching himself to special summon out a level 4 or lower Psychic monster that's either in our hand or that's banished. So we can special out our ST46 that's banished, trigger our ST46 effect to search for our copy of Mutant Cry. If I could find that real fast. This allows us to fusion summon into a Synthesis on the opponent's turn, for those of you who are familiar with the mutants. And then what we can do here is we can take our ST46 and our Rising Scale and just link those off for a copy of Psyframe Lord Lambda. And now at this particular instance, we can utilize our graveyard effect of our Psychic Minister. We can banish himself from grave and an additional Psychic out of our graveyard. So we can just banish like MO5, for example, to target a monster on the field and banish it until the end phase. We're going to banish our own Juraishin until the end phase. And the reason for that is because that will proc our Psyframe Lord Lambda to search for a Psyframe card in the end phase. We will set our copy of Mutant Cry, and then once the end phase rolls around, our Juraishin will come back, and then Lambda will search a Psyframe, which will be our copy of Psyframe Gear Gamma to our hand. And this is our end board. We have a free draw, a Gamma that's live because of Lambda effect, 2 available zones in order to summon Gamma Driver into. We have Mutant Beast for a spell negate and banish, the Juraishin again for a Raigeki or Duster-like effect, Jam Fever for the monster negate. We have Mutant Cry as well, which will allow us to fusion summon into a Mutant Synthesis on our opponent's turn, which when fusion summoned pops any card on the field and becomes unaffected as well, which is really crazy. And then we also still have the Teleport Fusion access on top of that, which, like I mentioned, either gives us access into Axon Kicker Oracle or the Absolute Axon Kicker as well. So even though this combo utilized more cards, it was a 3-card setup. It was Serene Girl, MO5, plus Prototype Blaster. We actually end on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 disruptions, as opposed to the 4 disruptions in the previous combo. And we get a free draw, and all of this was also nib-proof because we got to Jam Fever in under 5 summons, which is hugely important. And this is just a lot of stuff to push through. Now, yes, our life points will be pretty low, but again, that's why we have cards like Juraishin to offset that. Every time the opponent activates a card or effect, we will gain 300 life back, pretty much for free. And then, we'll still be able to draw even more cards during the opponent's turn with Jam Session as we use, the Juraishin effect to board wipe. It's a Psychic that paid life, so we would actually just draw an additional card, obviously. But you can kind of see how, it's just like a giant Psychic pile, and we're able to, weave and combo off into these really insane end boards that just have, tons of layered disruption. I mean, it's going to be difficult for your opponent to interact with this. We have a spell negate, a monster negate, another monster negate, a board wipe, an additional target pop, and then an additional board wipe or access to a Solemn Warning like boss monster. That's just a lot of different things the opponent has to be conscious of, obviously. And this was we still have 2 other cards in our hand, right? Because this was a 3-card setup. Maybe those other cards we have are additional hand traps or whatnot. It's just really, really insane the amount of advantage this deck can generate. And being able to utilize the mutants in it as well is even that much better because the mutants are just really insane cards. Like Beast being a spell negate is huge in this format. There are tons of crazy power spells or archetypal spells you want to just be able to stop outright. And on top of that, Mutant Beast cannot be targeted by monster effects either. So even if your opponent goes for a Saki SP Little Knight play. They can't SP this off the field. If they really want to clear the spell negate, they're going to either have to play into it or find another way around it. You know, and either way, we had like double monster negate as well. So even if they did make an SP, we can just punish them for it in either case. So that was a 3-card line that I wanted to showcase that also weave the mutants in. Now what I want to do is a actual test hand. Just so we can actually get like some real life idea of what this deck can draw like. You know me on this channel, I never leave any stone unturned. I pride myself on giving you duelists the like most realistic decks and realistic test hands. I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm not constantly like sitting here with the best, most optimal 5-card opening hand, right? And I pride myself on that, so I'm going to go ahead and pile shuffle here momentarily, and I will see you duelists in a quick second. All right, duelists, so I went ahead and pile shuffled the deck off camera. I'll just do a little bit more overhand shuffling just to prove to you, duelists, that again, this is the most realistic take on what the deck can draw like. There is a chance that we brick or we draw suboptimally or just draw a handful of non-engine. And if that happens, that's okay. That's part of Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Like even some of the best built decks draw bad hands. You can't sit there and tell me that even tier 1 decks like Vanquish Soul Canine or Yummy or Draco Tail don't draw suboptimally. So if we draw a hand that's kind of shit, then we just roll with it, right? That's part of the game, part of the variance. But I think this deck has a very high chance of drawing pretty well. It's a 45-card list. Again, list is linked in the description down below. For those of you duelists who want to check out the actual profile, but we just went ahead and shuffled now. I'm going to go ahead and cut, and we'll play this hand like we're going first, and we'll see what our 5-card starting hand is. So it's Z-Amin, Infinite Impermanence, Ash Blossom, K9 Azuna, and a Serene Psychic Girl. So this is one of those interesting hands. Obviously, we have 2 starters and then 3 pieces of non-engine, although the K9 package can also be engine for you, depending. So this is one of those hands that really, how you combo determines on what your opponent does. Regardless of whether you lead with Punk Z-Man or Serene Girl, if they get interacted with, if it's a monster-based interaction, then obviously that turns on the K9 package for us, right? So that allows us to weave into other lines potentially. But for the most part, let's just see what we can do with what's in our hand. So I'm just going to go ahead and lead the Serene Psychic Girl as a normal summon. Use her effect. We'll banish our Z-Amin from our hand. And then Serene Girl will let us special summon out a level 4 lower Psychic monster from our deck. And like I said, if this got stopped, well, depending on how it was stopped, let's just say it got ashed. We have Azuna to follow up, right? Azuna dump Lupus. We can go for a Valon, which is a quick Book of Moon. And then we just set Impermanent have an Ash. There's still 3 disruptions, right? Into a 4-card hand on their, well, 5 cards, because they'll draw for turn. But it's still a decent amount of disruption, right? But if they, and the same thing, like even if it wasn't Ash, if they Imperm this, we still have 3 hand traps in our hand that the opponent is going to have to push through, right? So like, I don't feel too bad about this not resolving just because this hand did draw a high number of non-engine. But for the purposes of this test hand, we're going to just assume that this resolves. So Serene Girl, banish the Z-Man, and we're going to summon out Mind Procedure from the deck. Mind Procedure will activate, searching us out a Teleport quick play from deck or grave to hand. We'll grab from deck a Emergency Teleport. We'll activate the Emergency Teleport, and this will allow us to special summon out a level 3 or lower Psychic monster from the deck. We can either weave into a mutant line, or, by summoning like MO5, for example, or we can go just for our second Z-Man that we play and try to get the Jam Fever in under 5 summons, so we can get that like monster negate installation. So I think that's the better line in my honest opinion. So we'll go for the Z-Amin. That's why we play multiples. We'll go Z-Amin effect here to pay 6 and search for a copy of Rising Scale. And then we will go Serene Girl effect to target herself, the Z-Man, and the Mind Procedure, and increase their levels by 1. So we'll take our Mind Procedure, who's level 4, and our Zeman, who's level 4. We'll synchro for 8 into our copy of the Jam Dragon Drive. Jam Dragon Drive will go ahead and pay 600 and adding us a level 3 Psychic, which will be this Hush Psychic Minister. It's important to note that if you haven't already normal summoned yet, you could also be adding a ST46 here, and then use this as your normal summon, and this would just bridge you into your mutant line as well, which I think is pretty cool. So just food for thought, but since we've already normal summoned, there's no need to add this at this point. So I think we'll just keep the mutants in the deck for like a follow-up turn, because I don't think we're going to get access to them in this particular combo. Again, we could have done that by getting them off the E-Telly, but then you're no longer Nibiru safe, and I'm always trying to play under Nib, because I just hate losing to that card, especially if we already have a very good in-engine out for it, because this was our 4th summon, right? Now we're just going to overlay a Jam Fever as our 5th summon, and now we're Nib-proof. Like, why would we not be going for this line every chance we get if we have such easy access to it? It makes no sense to like deviate from this and take that gamble. I mean, if they don't have Nib, will it pay off? Sure, but you can't guarantee that, right? Like, it just, to me, I would always value going for Jam Fever first, even if that means I can't get access to other parts of my deck. That's just my own preference. You duelists might have a different opinion, but that's just how I think about it. So now that we're here, we got, the Monster Negate set up on our 5th summon. We can pretty much go off now. We can just go Rising Scale, banishing Xiamen from grave, special summon, use her effect to pay 6, and bring out another Punk from the deck, of which we're generally going for our copy of Wagon. If I could find it. It is important to note that you can also go for the Deer Note here. If you don't want to go Wagon, you can just go Deer Note, and then Deer Note plus Serene Girl, because remember, she is a level 3, will make an additional Synchro 8, which, for what I'm running currently, is Psyframe Lord Omega. There is argument to run a Thought Ruler Archfiend as well, but I think Omega, he comes up. I mean, he's not the most ideal Synchro in this extra deck, believe it or not. But if you wanted to summon out a Deer Note, you could do that. But I don't think that's worth it at this point, because you don't have another Punk in your graveyard to revive with Deer Note's effect. So I think just going for the Wagon here just makes sense. Just better value, so you're not burning, like wasting the usefulness of Deer Note. Because I think the main reason why you would want to go for her is if you had a Punk in grave to revive, but you wouldn't in this particular instance. So we'll go Wagon, go Jam Extreme Session, activate the field spell. Now we can go Hush Minister special because we control Psychics, and we'll take our level 3 Serene Girl. Remember, she's level 3 because of her own effect. And we'll take our Hush Minister. We'll Synchro here for our copy of the Serene Psychic Sorceress. We will go Sorceress effect, paying 1,000 of our life to set a teleport, normal or quick play spell from just about anywhere, including Banishment, which is huge. So we'll set our Teleport Fusion. Then because a Psychic paid life to activate an effect, we'll go ahead and shuffle and cut, and we will get to draw a random card. Oops. We draw into a Foxy Tune, which is actually pretty decent, all things considered. But maybe we can just use this for a follow-up play during the opponent's turn. We'll take our Sorceress and our Wagon. We'll Synchro them off for a copy of the Psychic Blaster Mark II. Then we can use Mark II effect to revive a banished monster, which will be one of our Xiamen. And then we can take our level 3 Xiamen and our level 8 Rising Scale and Synchro for our copy of the Jiraishin, the level 11, who is obviously insanely cracked. And then we can basically just like set our Imperm, and then this is our end board, right? Like we have a K9 Izuna in the hand, an Ash in the hand, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 disrupts in total. Well, 5 on field plus 2 in the hand, so 7 disruptions total off of this random test hand. And I think that's very good value. I mean, you have more disruptions than your opponent will have cards in hand, ideally. Unless you got like Fualos or something, which, speaking of Fualos, obviously we can summon Jam Fever and we're insulated from Nib. Fualos is the one card that I feel this deck struggles with the most. Only because it has a crazy tendency to summon a lot from deck. So like, you know, generally when you get Fluid, like you're not too concerned about it because you can like make your plays and get your extra deck pieces, and maybe you're only giving them like 1, 2, or maybe 3 draws at most. The problem with this deck is because it special summons from the deck so much. Like you have Serene Girl, who's basically an E-Telly, right? She summons from the deck. You have E-Telly itself, that also summons from deck. And then you have like Mind Procedure, who searches an E-Telly, which again, specials from deck. Like before you can even get to an extra deck monster, you've already given them like 3 or even 4 draws in some cases. So because of that, I really wanted to make sure that we're not losing 2 cards like Fuelos in this deck. So my solution for this is to just play as many outs as possible, or ways to punish it. So like obviously we're on the Canine package, right? But like we have 3 Ash, we have Gamma, we have Called By, and we have Cross Out. So the Canine package obviously doesn't stop a Fuelos, but it can maybe punish them depending on the scenario. So I wouldn't really include this as an out, but for sure we have 3 copies of Ash, and then we have a Gamma, a Designator, and a Called By. And then obviously we do have the Fuas itself for those, not that they came up in the combo, but we do play them in the deck as additional non-engine, so they are in there as cross-out targets as well. But if you look at it this way, we basically have, 6 individual cards that stop Fuelos, which I think is a good number, considering this is only a 45 card list. Gamma is relevant because if we go like E-Telly and draw phase and they chain Fuelos, if we have Gamma in the hand, we are cooking so hard because they get super punished. Not only do we stop the Fuelos, our E-Telly resolves, but we get Gamma Driver, and then we can make an Omega, and then try to hand rip on top of our combo, which I think is really sick. So, you know, we have a lot of ways to stop Fuo, but that doesn't mean that we're gonna draw into them, right? You know, and then obviously we have the Canine package, but again, this doesn't really stop a Fuelos. It can maybe get us into some other stuff that we wouldn't have had access to otherwise. But one last thing I want to showcase you before I wrap this video up is what happens when you do get Fuelos and you don't have a way to stop it. Like, what's your line here? And to be honest with you, the only solution I have is actually to go down the Mutant line. As crazy as that sounds, because that gives you the most amount of disrupts while giving them the least amount of draws. So, hypothetically speaking, let's do one last combo. Let's say you go E-Telly and they chain Fuelos. You don't want to go down the regular, like, Serene combo, right, to get to Fever. Because even though, yeah, it's nib proof, to do that line, you would have given them like 5 or 6 draws. And that's just not worth it. You're not going to give your opponent 5 draws for 1 monster negate. It just doesn't make sense. So, if we go E-Telly and they chain Fua, the line that I found to be most relevant or impactful in that instance would be to go for a Mutant line where you go MO5, right? They'll get 1 draw. It's unavoidable because they've chained to this and you're not going to like not activate this or not resolve it. So you go MO5 triggers. You're going to search for ST46 specifically. Then you'll normal summon your ST, activate the effect to search for a Mutant Spell Trap, of which we only play 1 copy of Cry. And then what you'll do here is you'll go either ST or MO5 of secondary effect, doesn't matter who. You'll tribute and then banish to go ahead and bring out your copy of Mutant Beast from your deck. Yes, they'll get 1 more draw, so they've drawn 2 cards right off of the Fua, but you're setting up an untargetable spell negate, and you have access to Mutant Cry, which gives you a Mutant Synthesis on their turn, which is a target pop and becomes unaffected as well. So that's a spell negate and a pop, right? You get 2 disruptions for their 2 draws. Might not seem like really crazy, but to be fair, that's like the only recourse that we have, right? Because it doesn't make sense where if we go E-Telly and they Fool and we don't have an answer for it, we're sure as hell not going to go Serene Girl, you know, to bring out, Mind Procedure, they get 1 draw. Mind Procedure grabs a teleport, activate teleport, bring out, Zeman, they get another draw. Then we can make a Jam Fever, that's 3 draws. We haven't even gotten a disruption yet on the board, and they already have gotten 3 cards off of us. Then we can make Jam Fever? That's a monster negate, but they've already drawn 4 cards at that point. Like, I'm not trading 1 monster negate for a +4. You know, that seems stupid. So I'd rather just go down a Mutant line. They get 2 draws, but you get 2 disruptions out of it. and 2 pretty good disruptions if you ask me. So that's what I found works. But again, that only happens if we get Fuwalost on our E-Telly and we don't have one of our 6 ways to stop it. But like I said, overall, this deck has been a ton of fun. If you duelists want to see more content with this list, by all means, let me know down in the comments below. You know, I would love to do a live duel video, but that means I need to find an opponent to play with. And since I recently moved pretty far away, that might be a little more difficult to do. But if you duelists want a live duel, again, let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to make it happen. Link in the description below for the profile. Link to MCole40's channel as well, since he went ahead and he covered this deck in one of his videos. I'll link that video in the description below too. Shout outs to him. But yeah, like I said, this is Psychic post Doom of Dimensions. Very fun deck. I think this build is very well put together. I wouldn't really change anything with the main deck. I've been very happy with the ratios and whatnot. And the deck combos extremely well. It has the ton of non-engine too, so even if you're losing die rolls and you're going second, it doesn't feel like an uphill battle all the time either, which I really enjoy. But yeah, with that being said, this is Nick hitting that end phase. Stay tuned for more amazing content coming your way post Doom of Dimensions. I'll be doing a combos and test hands video for my recently uploaded branded Dracotail profile as well. And I'll be doing an update to Dinomorphia post Doom of Dimensions 2 and post ban list, since Dinomorphia lost 2 copies of Solemn Judgment. I know a few of you duelists were questioning, you know, what to do with that deck after the list. So stay tuned for that. And then also one last thing, make sure you join the Discord as well. That will also be linked in the description. But yeah, with that being said, this is Nick hitting that end phase. Peace.